Look at Wanda, ready to rock her big presentation. But first, lunch. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Delicious, celebratory, but is it quick? The Cobb salad. Tender oven roasted chicken, topped with cheese. Prepared, plated, and served? In 6 minutes? Is this for real? Well, of course. Well done, Wanda. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Yes, ma'am. Life is sweet.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome in to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Thank you so much for working alongside of us here on Mississippi Live Weather. We have a full show talking about a lot of different things, but the thing we needed to get out right away and make sure we're clear on is outside in Batesville, outside of your doorstep. We show a few clouds, but there is no severe weather threat as far as tonight is concerned. We are, as you can see here on Mama Justice Doppler radar, in the dry, in the clear at this point here around the region. This will change by Friday. A lot more thunderstorms are likely. On your Thursday, we have a limited severe weather risk. But to be clear, where we show this on here, that level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk, the reason that's in play is because of early in the morning on your Friday. We will track that again with our exclusive strike model and Futurecast here in a couple of minutes. The wide shot here shows around the region, again, where our risk is. All of North Mississippi on Friday is involved. In fact, most of the state of Mississippi is, in every county that we focus on here on Mississippi Live Weather is involved in this severe weather risk. And so headlines this evening, timing, we're thinking Friday afternoon and evening when we're most likely to see impact from whatever stronger thunderstorms are possible. We are expecting, again, some strong winds or possibly tornadoes. And I'll be honest, this is not a high-end threat, okay? Just want to make sure we're clear. We're going to show you a lot of stuff. We've been talking a lot about it. We're going to talk more about it next couple of days. This is not a high-end threat, but there is a potential for some isolated, stronger thunderstorms kind of work in as part of this. And only on Mississippi Live debuting the triple threat. What is it? We're combining the wind threat, the hail threat, and the tornado threat into one graphic so you can assess what you're most likely to see. Certainly it's good on a regional scale, and it's something that you can't find anywhere else on the internet, and definitely can't find anywhere else on television. And we will have that for you coming up here in a couple minutes. Another thing that is new here, I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, and a special thing that you only get here on Mississippi Live Weather as well, and that's right behind you.
Yeah, we're a Weather Ready Nation, officially an ambassador for Weather Ready Nation right now. It's basically a partnership with the National Weather Service working hand in hand to make us a Weather Ready Nation, or for us here at Mississippi Live Weather, a Weather Ready North Mississippi. And so working in partnership with them, we're going to keep you guys prepared heading into those severe weather events and also do some things along the next couple of months and next year, just kind of showcasing how we can stay safe whenever severe weather does strike. So Matt, won't catch us off guard if it's the week of and we're just now hearing about a severe weather threat. We have ways that we can make sure we're prepared heading into not just this Friday, but also our spring severe weather season.
It's a way we work in conjunction with all the ways in which warnings get to you. That would be through the media. That's what we would represent. Through emergency managers working in conjunction with them and with the National Weather Service as well. The idea, if we're all talking and we're all working together, we can do more to keep you safe. So a different triple threat there as well. First 12, we're 60 at 7 p.m., 56 by 10, 54 by 1 o'clock in the morning. Notice we don't drop much overnight after that. In fact, we actually increase the temperatures. That's those southerly winds. That's that moisture behind this front starting to return. And that starts setting the stage for a more active chance for some showers and thunderstorms eventually. We're in close here on Mississippi Live. Mama Justice Doppler radar looking again at that cloud cover. High pressure, the storyline. Main storm system associated with our active weather still back to the west. This is going to lift toward us. We have two things here. You have the surface low developing on the east side of the Rocky Mountains, and there on the west side, you have the main upper level storm system. That's going to kick toward us, and as it does, our rain and storm chances are going to increase once it moves closer into the region. But bringing in here closer. And looking at Futurecast for tonight, again, no issues out there. We have clouds. We might have some fog. Dense fog advisories already in effect for locations down south of Hattiesburg. Not impossible to get expanded northward. Not impossible you see some fog for tomorrow morning, but probably not as much as what we had this morning because of that front that's trying to squish some of that moisture away. Now that moisture starts returning. This is mainly lighter variety activity out there into Oklahoma, into Arkansas, locations back in the north and west, but you can see a pretty stout storm system that way out to the plains. That's the first of the 2 severe weather threats over the next couple days, primarily associated with that storm system. And it's the same storm system, but that wave moving through the jet stream that really kind of makes that a little more active for tomorrow and really tomorrow night before things get more active for us on the earliest end. But Friday's the day. So from 56 at 6 a.m., we're 60 by 9 a.m., 67 at noontime. That's 72, only 1 away from record high at Tupelo Regional Airport. We'll talk more about, again, the warmth related to this and eventually the switch to cold with our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard, coming up here in a little bit. But 68 at 6 p.m., we don't drop much in tomorrow evening as we're bringing in windy conditions out of the south that will make sure that we bring in more moisture that eventually will yield more thunderstorms. In 60 seconds, we're going to look at that Ole Miss football forecast because, at least for the folks on Facebook, we missed that at 5 because I jumped right past it. So it's in the show. I don't have to click on it extra. It'll be right after the break. We're also debuting the triple threat, and it's important because it allows us to distill down to one graphic what you need to know as far as threats are concerned. We will have that for you. If nothing else you catch, we'll have that. It'll have your timing involved as well as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Frozen pipes can cause serious damage. That's why Absolute Restoration is giving away free faucet covers to our community while supplies last. Installing them is easy. Just slide the foam sleeve over your outdoor faucet and secure it snugly. Also remember to disconnect hoses, open cabinet doors under sinks, and let faucets drip during extreme cold. Call or text to check availability, and from our family to yours, please stay warm and protected.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smiles.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovehon.
Looking live this evening out in Oxford. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. Of course, everybody that, goes with that red and blue angle. Looking forward to what is coming, obviously, with the big game for tomorrow night. I see chillin' 728 there on YouTube. Hoping it's not bad on Friday night, but hoping it's not bad tomorrow night as well. We'll talk to our Will Kollmeyer here in a few minutes as the Rebels get ready. That first play forecast expected to be 56. Here's the crazy thing. It will be colder at the Fiesta Bowl than it is in North Mississippi tomorrow. And that's one of those signs that we have, again, a lot of humid air here that'll help cause some thunderstorms. Again, appreciate, though, the folks at Carl Hogan Toyota for sponsoring us all throughout football season. They'll be with us in baseball season as well with your SEC baseball forecast. But the football forecast, a little bit cool for the fans making the trip out there to the game. They'll have some rainfall earlier in the day, hopefully drier late in the day. Friday is our day where we're concentrating on a severe weather risk, and it does involve all locations here that watch us on Mississippi Live Weather, down through Meridian, down through Jackson, out to Greenville, up to Memphis, up to Jackson, Tennessee, and back out there toward Birmingham. Friday is the day. Level 2, meaning a more limited number of reports than if it was something higher. We do think an upgrade to a higher risk level does remain a possibility out of this. Our confidence is increased enough that we have increased our chances there, we think, for a brief spin-up tornado out of this. And we might even have an isolated tornado that gets in one of these storms by itself. That becomes a concern because that's where maybe we get something beyond just an EF0 tornado, maybe something a little bit stronger out of that. So that's one of the things that we're watching and we're waiting to see about over the next 24 hours or so. We're looking at some strong wind gusts out of this line of thunderstorms. I'd say a limited hail threat and flash flooding, maybe underdone on our projections just a little bit because of the amount of chances, the opportunity for rainfall that we'll have. An exclusive thing you'll see only on Mississippi Live, what we're calling the triple threat here. What is this? So this is going to show your precipitation there as we would typically show it. But layered with that, you see a bunch of different colors. You see rotation, you see wind damage potential, and you see large hail potential. Let's give you kind of an idea what this would look like when we're talking about something that might have wind damage potential. And as this storm system goes through locations back out there toward southern New Mexico, where you see the yellows there, these would all be wind gusts where that kicks over to a brighter yellow. In excess of 58, 60 miles per hour. So those would be solidly damaging wind gusts. And anywhere where you see the yellow, I think some sporadic limbs and things like that could come down. So that's an example of what the damaging wind will look like. We're not at that level for most of what the system has. Thankfully, we'll show you though in a minute. Another example of what this is able to show you is it shows you the rotation. Now you can get rotation that doesn't produce tornadoes. Largely that's what's likely to happen for locations on the plains on your Thursday. These tracks you see that it leaves behind here, an example of where those rotating thunderstorms will track. But notice how you largely can see through. There's a few spots here where they're a little bit brighter. I just want to call that in contrast to what you will see closer to us as we go into your Friday. So there's some examples. We don't have a lot of hail potential out of this, and so I don't unfortunately have, or fortunately don't have any spot where I can really show you what the blue looks like before we get this in closer. So that is how the triple threat works. Let's now show you what it shows for us in particular. So as we progress through your Thursday here, as you can see in the Thursday night and early Friday morning, we don't have any of those tracks showing up at all, right? We don't have any areas where we have the stripes, so no rotation in the overnight hours leading into early Friday morning based on the current look here, with the exception of one little spot. Might as well call out what it is, but it's an example of just a little area rotation. What should we think about that? Nothing. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Here's why. Storms can rotate, but not get that rotation down to the surface. That happens when they're elevated. They form where they're not pulling in air from down closer to the surface, right? So that's what this one would be in the overnight hours or early part there Friday. Not something of concern, too far back to the north and west. So now let's walk through some storms we might be more concerned with. And I want to call your attention to an example of one that looks obviously quite a bit stronger. And it's one that will have moved through Ruston there in Louisiana. It'd be this storm there ahead. This is what one of those stronger stripes looks like when it's kicking out rotation, when it would be more likely to possibly produce a tornado. Okay, so that would be an example of rotation that we would be concerned with. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and kind of look into the analysis in our area. First off, we're 1:30 Friday. I see nothing of significance. There will be some heavy rainfall, there'll be some lightning, there might be some gusty winds. But as far as wind damage, as far as strong tornadoes, none of that by that point and time. Though as you can see, some indications that we do have a couple of rotating thunderstorms, or at least a little rotation with that. But again, your eye is clearly drawn to those storms back there in Louisiana, right? That's what it looks like when we need to be concerned. That's largely not what it looks like in our area. We do have some areas of rotation, and if you go wider, you can see down south, there are other areas of concern, and I definitely have a few rotating thunderstorms. We'll get more onto exactly where Futurecast is placing those individual storms here in a minute. This is on the threats in particular we're looking at. We'll hit the very in-depth timing coming up in a few minutes. But you can see one that does catch my eye is up here closer to Florence. We do have one little area where we start to get that rotation a little brighter. What should we think about that? Okay, I would say I'm not concerned and as concerned. Not as concerned, and here's why. Do you see all this rainfall south? That's going to take what would be warm air going in this storm. It's going to cut it off from it. And so typically we don't get surface-based rotation in that situation, and hopefully that's a situation where we don't have significant concerns for that. This is mainly heavy rainfall. There'll be some lightning, some gusty winds out of most of this on the north side. And where I do, again, we'll get more in this in a minute, have some of those rotation tracks, you can clearly see what we have down there south of Jackson, what we have in Louisiana, much greater areas of concern. This one forecast projection, one time, We'll see. But as the line kind of moves through and there's a batch on the back end here, as we kind of advance this there into early Saturday morning, you can kind of see the aftermath. This is the benefit of this projection. The triple threat allows us to say, okay, at some point over the course of the next couple of days, you have that wind damage potential out there. We showed you it's earlier on in the period. And for us, it allows us to say, okay, there are a few spots here where we have some brighter areas of rotation. I would say most of North Mississippi, this is not bright, and that means most of our storms probably aren't strong enough to produce tornadoes of significance. Brief spin-ups, not an impossibility. And again, this is based on the strike model, still 2 days out. As we get closer, we'll be able to amend this. Oh, there we are. There's a couple examples. You can kind of see the blue there, or a few spots where it says maybe some hail. But as you can tell, hail unlikely to be a large factor with this storm system. So that is the triple threat. You'll get it only here on Mississippi Live. So hour by hour, tomorrow, warm and mainly dry, as will be 57 in the morning, 67 by noon, and 72 degrees as we head toward afternoon on those southerly winds. Let's walk through the forecast again. The next day or so, not much out there, and I think overnight, perhaps a little bit of fog, especially there closer to the coast. Kosciuszko, Louisville, a little bit of wind motion there, and it will become breezy, arguably windy, as we go into and through your Thursday. But these showers all pretty light. A sign, though, that moisture starting to come back. That moisture that is a limiting factor as far as strong storms are concerned. So low temperatures were 53 Boonville, 54 degrees in Tupelo, Houston, 55 in Starkville and Columbus, and 57 in Louisville. Again, normal this time of year, we should instead be, in the mid-30s, so way above normal. So again, lighter variety showers, and the storm system clearly very impressive at producing active weather to the north of us. This is again where some of those rotation tracks, not as strong as we have on Friday in Louisiana, but some of those are. So yeah, broad rotation. That's where the stronger winds aloft are with that system. For us, we're all in the greens. That means all just rain, and that means all relatively weak as we progress throughout the Thursday daylight period. If we were to see something strong, it would be Thursday night. That would be more likely. So severe weather risk, again, outlining that for you for locations back out here, Missouri, back into Illinois, into Arkansas in particular. We do pair up with some folks here at the Arkansas Weather Network. They will be watching things very closely out there into Arkansas related to this storm system. We'll pick it up once it gets into the Delta. So Clarksdale, 72, the high temperature on your Thursday, 75 degrees in Grenada, 75 there in Eupora, and about 76 in Kosciuszko, 75 there, Belzona, back toward around the Greenwood area. So almost record setting for highs on your Thursday. As we go again into Thursday night, let's talk through how this system kind of plays out here, kind of the first chance we have. And you'll notice just some showers as we go into Thursday evening. Again, this is where we kind of work through the timing on this. Wider shot shows moisture kind of coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, and you'll see things get a little more active out there into Arkansas and down into Louisiana in those overnight hours into pre-dawn early Thursday. So let's walk through this. We're 10 p.m. Now we're midnight to 12:30 or so. Storm's a little heavier out into Arkansas, and we start to see a few get somewhat stronger into Mississippi here by 3 o'clock in the morning. What will this be? This will be rumbles. This will probably wake some folks up. What this probably will not be is this probably is not going to be severe. It's not going to be damaging. It's not going to be tornadoes. But don't be shocked to hear those rumbles for the first part of early morning on your Friday, 4:35, 6 o'clock in the morning. Speaking of 6:30 a.m., our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will be updating us on that threat. She is on every single morning, Monday through Friday, 6:37, 7:30 a.m. Check her out for the latest Friday morning. She'll, of course, have updates tomorrow morning. She's on, does a fantastic job, very relatable, very comprehensive, an excellent meteorologist, and we're very, very fortunate to have her a part of Mississippi Live Weather starting at 6:30 tomorrow morning, and then obviously on Friday morning, she'll have the very latest updates related to this here. Again, back here as we bring it in and check out the timing. Again, looking at those low temperatures, you can kind of see something's up because normal high this time of year is low 50s. This is going to be close to record setting on just how warm we're starting the day. So 62 Grenada, 65 Greenwood, Belzona, and Greenville for those low temperatures. It's a lot of moisture out here and breezy conditions as wind is being drawn into this storm system. So this is kind of the initial round. And we're looking at a hybrid here. I want to point that out because I want you to see the difference as we switch models. This will switch at midday. This will switch at noontime. And the difference between how this switches is important, because what this projection has is, watch these storms down south. I'm going to go ahead and circle these because I think that they are highly important to what we end up seeing, right? So I'm going to go, let's do this yellow here, right? So I want to circle that batch there for just a moment, okay? So now, as this changes projections, I want you to see how that kind of goes away and then reforms. Why is that important? If we can get storms down here, it's kind of like building a wall for moisture return. The more storms we get down here closer to Jackson, Starkville, the less likely the unstable air that would produce tornadoes will make it up to Tupelo or Oxford or out there toward Water Valley or Memphis or Olive Branch. So that wall that one of our projections has, that HRRR model there before it kicks over the strike model, one of the questions, you can see it also kind of forms here on our Futurecast as well, looking at the strike model, but just something to keep in mind. If we're talking about ways in which this goes better for us, that could hopefully be the thing that that allows that to happen. By the way, I just happened to the corner of my eye see Teresa talking about very foggy in Amory right now, so there you go. We might have more issues with dense fog. Let us know in the chat there. We'll relay that information back to the Weather Service. That's part of that Weather Ready Nation certification that we have here on Mississippi Live Weather that no one else in this part of the state has, as far as broadcast media is concerned. So again, some showers out there, 12:30, 1 o'clock. These, I think this looks like a new version here of Futurecast from what we even had a couple minutes ago. One thing I note on this, again, we're looking 1:30. These are storms that are going to have some rotation to them, and they do have a gap where they can get in a little moisture, but there's too many storms, and we talked about it last night. It's my football analogy. I will eventually come up with a better one there. Apparently extremely foggy in Aberdeen and Red Bay still at this time as well. So a lot of moisture still sitting out there at this point. Okay, so the point in saying that is my football analogy. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have actually 0 quarterbacks. When we're looking for severe weather, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 storms in a small area, they're all competing for the same fuel, you then don't have one big, bad, awful, strong tornado-producing thunderstorm. So this is a lot of storms as opposed to the one big or bad. And you can see how they're all competing. There's not enough to go around, and they all weaken looking again toward around 2 o'clock. Giving you an example of what big and bad looks like. That one down there toward Brookhaven, close to where we had one showing up a little bit ago when we were looking at the triple threat. And then the one back out there toward El Dorado, Arkansas, and northwest of Monroe. Speaking of folks we pair with here down and around the Alexandria area, Nick Mikulis with Senlaw Weather is one of our partners here in our network of independent meteorologists. And then, again, Jared Floyd there in Monroe, Louisiana. If you search for either of those folks, if you've ever heard of them, they do a great job. We pick up just outside of their area. So as we go here toward 2:33, 4 o'clock, again, most of these storms, again, we're concentrating on North Mississippi now. We've kind of looked at the wider threats. This is all primarily just rainfall. The only ones here I could see maybe severe would be that one close to Oktibbeha County, southern Monroe County as well. That wall had stopped to a certain extent how much moisture moves northward and how much fuel there has. Now, that's not to say that these aren't loud and don't have some gusty winds and maybe an isolated hailstone. But what we're going to be watching for is if we can get some gaps in here where you end up seeing more white from the cloud cover and less of the rainfall, that would allow more moisture return. That would then enhance the severe weather potential some. That is what we are watching for and waiting to see how our projections align with that. But most of what I see here across North Mississippi is rain and not tornadoes and not damaging wind. On this projection, now this is our strike model, newest version in, it's going to change a little bit each and every time we look at it. But I think the thing we've been very consistent on saying is certainly the threat is greatest to the south and east, in my opinion, because there will be more fuel, more clean inflow. But the positioning is something that will change. That one's still strong enough there. Maybe have a couple of hailstones with it as well and some gusty winds. But mid-70s out there for highs in some spots on your Friday. The farther north you go, more cut off from that unstable air. We're only 68. 68 there in Booneville and 67 degrees in Red Bay, Alabama. So again, as we progress here through your Friday and into the Friday evening, I do get interested in this because that does look a little bit more like a bow echo. I'm going to be watching that at 10 o'clock along with our meteorologist Gabe Maynard tomorrow to see if this is something that starts showing up in our other projections as well. We're just now getting where we can look at the high resolution projections. But that would be more likely to enhance some of that damaging wind threat. As far as tornadoes go, still 7:30. It's not impossible we could have some rotation on these storms down around Louisville. That looks more like a wind producer, maybe a little bit of rotation around Columbus by 9 p.m. And as we go beyond 9 p.m., 10 to 11, this is primarily just rainfall, mainly to the south and east as that continues to kind of move out there. And drier air comes in behind this, and we are a lot cooler in the extended forecast there through your Saturday and into the extended period. So again, expanded. The way we describe here are severe weather risk, a level 2 out of 5 risk that does involve, again, all locations here in the Mississippi Live Weather area. The reason that's important, because that has expanded, I do think that that leaves room in here, especially as confidence increases related to where we get those individual thunderstorms, some of those stronger rotation tracks, to possibly see it upgraded to that risk area. So again, for Jared Floyd back out there in Monroe, maybe even some of those folks, Nick Mikulas down there in Alexandria, I think it's more likely that they get a tornado, maybe the little bit stronger down there as opposed to up here. Isolated tornadoes, tornado warnings, both definitely a possibility up here in the northern part of the state. And that's the reason why you need Weather Call. Weather Call is a personalized alert that will let you know if you're in the danger zone for a tornado. It calls you for tornadoes, and maybe just as importantly, it calls you back if they're confirmed for your area. So it will let you know all the information that you need to know to get you to your safe place, whether you're paying attention and watching us or not. Calls you for severe thunderstorms, calls you for major flash flooding like what they had back in Texas, what they call flash flood emergencies. There are other alerts related to that. It has a cost because unfortunately, still in 2025, making phone calls costs money. But it's an alert that busts through. You put it in your do not disturb, and it will be there to keep you in good shape. The other thing I will say on this is now is the time to build your armor as we bring up that 7-day forecast here. Definitely recommend that you, and I'm going to have to kind of change the background behind me, so give me a second to do that. There we go. So build your armor. Why is that important? Because the more layers you have to alert you, the only two things you can do to help yourself during severe weather is make sure that you know about it and know where to go. So now is the time to be thinking about those things as we prepare going into what's a more active season. Mississippi Live Weather app, you can get that. These 2 QR codes you see there, whether it's Android, whether it's iOS, we also have devices there. The ability to stream on Roku, Apple TV, and God willing, and the creek don't rise, at some point here, we're going to be on Fire Stick. Let's bring again that 7-day forecast up full screen for you to see it. And one of the big things, we'll talk about this also with our meteorologist Gabe Maynard coming up here in a couple minutes. We're going down from 63 on Saturday behind this, and probably never feels quite that warm behind this front, down to 46 for Sunday and 48 degrees as we look toward Monday. So the extended forecast, a lot colder as we look toward next week. It's just definitely going to be sweeping all the moisture on out of here, and clearly the next couple of days will be stormier. Okay, coming up here after the break, we're going to talk to our Will Kollmeyer previewing the Ole Miss game, the big Ole Miss game that's coming. I'm going to be looking through your comments. I'm going to be answering some of those questions as well as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax. 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.
Welcome back. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. We showed this SEC football forecast a minute ago, but maybe the forecast people are more interested in what's going to happen with the game Ole Miss versus Miami, one of the biggest games for Ole Miss fans pretty much in history. Gabe, roll that footage. Had the chance to talk to the Will Kollmeyer, one and only, just a wealth of knowledge. Here's what he thinks about that game.
Well, it's almost game. Well, it's almost game day.
Well, that's fun, isn't it? Oh, well. I'll see if I can fix that. We're going to do one more thing before we do that. Let's go over to Gabe. No shame in that game, but he's been looking at not just this forecast. I'm going to bring you over there to the BAM here for a second to bring that up.
Well, I guess we'll be talking about the forecast for the game. Matt, it is going to be a good one. And as I pull that up behind me real quick, you can, of course, see that it's going to be a great matchup on the field, but also a great matchup in the sky because of those dry conditions that remain overhead. That ridging pattern that we're going to be enjoying heading into our weekend will already be in place by Thursday. So, Rebel fans, you're escaping the storm. As long as you can get it done on the football field, I think that's going to be definitely a win in the forecast and on the field. And I know that it is a dome as well, Matt, so it's not exactly...
Let's talk about the warm, Gabe, because obviously we are warmer here than they are there, right? That's what you had up a second ago.
Exactly, and I'll pull that up behind me one more time because this is going to be a pattern that we'll see lots of changes. So as you can see, it's a very warm air mass overhead right now, and this, of course, sticking around, working our way into our Friday. But as I drag this out, and this is moving into your Friday morning and into your Friday afternoon, you can continue to see... Actually, I can get it to where I can just click an arrow. There we go. You can see how this frontal system just starts to push into the area and drive out not just that moisture, but also all of that warm air. And then things finally feel a little bit normal. So as we get into our, right here, we're looking at Saturday night. We're already getting temperatures back into the mid 40s and potentially things cool off in the right direction. We'll be getting into the mid 30s for some of those low temperatures on Sunday morning. But as we work our way into the forecast throughout our Sunday, you can of course see that it's going to remain cool all day long. But then the real cold starts to move in. Let's go ahead and take a look as we move into our Monday morning. And you see how this cold air mass starts to work overhead. And we're seeing the upper 20s. Actually, let me make sure it's all the way there. We're seeing upper 20s, maybe even mid 20s out there in Arkansas. And I will say that upper to mid 20s, not an impossibility here in North Mississippi either. I do think with how dry things get, a lot of that moisture escapes. And that moisture, you heard me talk about it the past few days, that's been the floor that we've not been able to pass with these temperatures. So with that floor being lowered, we can of course drop a little bit more and enjoy some of those cooler temperatures by the time we get into next week. But Matt, this is going to be a great forecast that a lot of folks can look forward to, especially in all of these warm temperatures we're experiencing right now. But something else that folks can look forward to, our big matchup. Of course, our Mississippi Live Weather Game of the Week. It's basketball season right now, and we'll be heading out there to Biggersville to watch Biggersville take on Corinth in the Alcorn County Tournament. That is going to be happening at 7:30. Matt, we're going to get that coverage. We're, of course, getting Spirit Squad. We're getting the Cheer Squad, everything that we did for football, carrying that over into basketball season. So excited for both of these games, whether it's the one behind me or the one behind you. An action-packed end of the week on the court, on the field, and also in the sky.
Absolutely. A lot of fun to handle those kinds of events. And speaking of, I think I might have got our video up and going. Perfect. We'll see if we can do that. I have to re-rack it here. So we will restart our discussion where we were with our Will Kollmeyer. I think it shows preview 5, and here we go.
Joining us once again here, and Will, it is time for us to pick your winner. And I know that there's some caveats first because this is a big battle between defense and offense in Miami. Impressive on that defensive end.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And you're right, Matt. You've heard coaches least all during my sportscasting life, they all talk about defense wins championships. And they're right. But has that Miami defense faced a offense as hot right now as Trinidad Chambliss and the Rebels are? He is a magician. We saw that last week in the Sugar Bowl. I think Temple's going to be a key as well, Matt, because Miami's defense has not faced anyone that works as fast as the Rebels all season. And you see some of that offense and defense that was on display last week for the Rebels in that win against a very good Georgia team. So I think that that'll be a key to keep an eye out for as well, the tempo. And then, of course, we talked about statistics, and statistically, Ole Miss has faced one team that is better statistically than Miami's defense, and that was Oklahoma. And they scored 34 on the Sooners, and that was in Norman.
You don't need a lot to get you jazzed about the fact you're one of 4 teams left. Next win could take you to the championship game. But in Miami's case, the championship game could basically be a home game.
Exactly. And that's extra incentive, no doubt, for the Hurricanes. If they can get past Ole Miss, and they're favored to beat the Rebels this week, they would be at home in Miami. And let's just say it turns into a Miami versus Indiana game. Well, Indiana's quarterback, the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza, is from South Florida. So it could be 2 teams, well, in Mendoza having that edge when it comes to being from the Miami area. In fact, he went to the same high school as Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, Christopher Columbus High School in Miami, and one could be on one sideline and the other on the other. But of course, that's if Miami wins. And of course, a lot of the folks that are watching this are hoping that's not going to be the case.
I know you can see all those storylines, but we think the amazing storyline that has been Ole Miss this season, certainly hoping that's going to be the one that carries it through. Will Kollmeyer, thank you so much for joining us here. So who are you picking? You mentioned the favorite.
I went with Ole Miss last week, and some people are like, Will? I mean, but I said it was going to be one for the ages, and it surely turned out to be an instant classic, if you will. So I'm going to, again, pick Ole Miss in what should be a terrific matchup. Cannot wait.
Cannot wait indeed. Thank you so much for your analysis here and your help all the way through this football season to this point.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun being on the team, Matt. No doubt about it.
Okay. That was good.
Okay, we appreciate Will for that discussion there. And as we go outside right now in West Point, when we're looking at your discussion, a lot of folks behind the scenes talking about, some fog, mentioned fairly thick in West Point. I think it's down close to the ground. You can kind of see a little fuzzier there with our North Mississippi Storm Chaser camera there in the West Point area. I show a little bit more of that fog up in Aberdeen at this time. Cool shot on that last night. Just the good lights. You could see kind of the mistiness there in Monroe County, but not nearly as dense as it was this morning, and we don't expect it to be quite as dense overnight as it was as well. So big headline overview here. There is a limited severe weather threat for folks for tomorrow. There is, again, that fog primarily down closer to the coast, but the severe weather threat, I say tomorrow, where it says Thursday right there at the top, that's actually early Friday morning, level 1 out of 5 threat. More likely scenario is that we run into a potential for severe weather on Friday, damaging winds, maybe an isolated tornado possible. The thing you need to know about this, we look at what we call significant severe threat, right? The likelihood of us seeing high-end tornadoes or high-end damaging winds or extra large hail, that is not something in all likelihood that we will contend with this system. So it does not peak at that level, thankfully. Our next live broadcast, as we continue to break this down, is going to be tonight at 10 p.m. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard, and I'll probably pop in, you know me, we'll be talking about, again, the way in which this is continuing to evolve as this threat continues to get closer. We'll have updates here in the Room to Room Weather Center, looking at those rotation threats, using that triple threat, and breaking down your full forecast. Thank you so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. Before we go, I'm going to just double check here as we go through the comments behind the scenes. And looks like we've answered pretty much most of them. Some specific questions about Tupelo. Are they too far north? At this point here, the peak threat is south, but it will shift around some. And could it shift more toward you? That definitely remains a possibility. That's one of the things we're looking at with the latest Futurecast coming up tonight at 10 p.m. We will see you then.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.